wonder where we are. We've had 3 talks. We are still concerned, aren't we, with what is one to do in a world that has become so appallingly disorderly, violent and so on. What is one to do? That is the central issue. So we are not just indulging in a lot of words or theories or holding on to one's own experiences and points of view, but those of us who are here, and I hope we are serious and not playing around with all this, that our principal question is, what is one to do? And I think we ought also to consider what is the individual action which may, or we think, is separate from the integral part of the whole. Right? Have I made my question clear? We may think we are separate individuals and act from that self-centered intention or from that self-centered movement, because we think we are individuals. And I wonder if we are individuals, though we have accepted that for millennia, that we are separate individuals with its own consciousness, with its own sorrow, different from all humanity. Right? Am I? And we have found for ourselves through all these talks that we are the whole, we are the part of the world. And our actions are like the rest of the world. Right? What we do, the world is doing. So, psychologically as well as in action, we are the rest of the world. We are the world. And when we have reached that point, is there any individuality at all? Do you understand my question? We have accepted that we are individuals, separate, something unique, which has to, in its whole life, has to fulfill in various forms. And when we discover the truth that we are integral part of this enormous humanity, what place has any individuality? Or there is no individuality at all? It's up to you to discuss.
The world is us, and we are the world. That is no longer an idea. It is a fact. The world being us, and the world is us, the action from the seeing that, the full realization of that as a fact, is a different action.
Yes,
now,
sir.
I don't know what that action is.
And we're coming...
But it means no further contributing to the disorder and the violence that is going on in society. Now, whether individual comes in there or not, I don't know.
how can, sir? First, that's why I want to go into the question of individuality. If there is such a thing at all, I know it's rather, maybe you may not like to go into the question because you may think individuality is very important, or one is bound to that tradition, and so it's very difficult to break through that wall of individuality. But we are questioning whether the individual exists at all. If and when we see the truth or the fact that we are the whole of humanity. Go into it, sir. When we see the fact that I am part of the world, I am that rest of mankind, what is the quality of my mind that has seen this fact? Seen in the sense, be absolutely in contact with it. Wholly realize completely that is integral part of that vast mankind. What happens to the mind? Could we discuss this? Or it is too...
Your family is one. There is love. It is your family.
No. What is quality of your mind, sir, before we say it's the family or it is this? What has taken place in your mind? Mind in the sense your emotions, your sensitivity, your quality of your senses, feelings, affection, the capacity to think clearly, and all that. What has happened in that? You understand my question?
Yes, I do.
What has taken place in the mind that has seen that it is part of the whole? It is not separate.
Is it becoming very quiet then, sir?
What, sir?
Is it becoming very quiet?
No. Find out. Let's talk about it a little bit.
So, if the mind realizes that it is part of the whole of humanity, or if it is humanity, human beings,
does the mind realize it? Or does thought realize it? You understand?
But if it is watching...
You understand my question? Is it thought that realizes I'm the whole, part of it? Or the whole consciousness, which is the mind, the whole of your consciousness, realizes, sees, in contact, is completely, comes to the truth that it is the rest of the world. I'm asking, what is the quality of the mind?
What was outside before has now become intimate. One feels things from the inside rather than just as an objective series of events that one has some sort of loose connection.
Are you answering my question, sir? What is the quality of your mind, your consciousness, when you realize, or when there is the realization that you are part, integral part of the whole of humanity? What has taken place when there is perception of that?
Sir, we might not be able to answer that question because that action, that perception is something that's unfamiliar to us.
That means we have to go back and go over all the...
Well, not necessarily go over all of it, but that last activity that, because we seem to be able to go most of the way, but that last action or that last activity that sees everything, that sees the whole, is something that is new to us, is something that we are,
no,
is
that,
foreign to.
I'm not saying that sees the whole, that has realized that it is not separate from the rest of mankind.
Can I ask a question? Because
Yes,
I feel that there's a difference between someone who has never experienced, who's never actually been through that, and say someone who's listened to what you said, and who has already had an experience of that, of being not separate from the world, and therefore has found themselves in a situation...
May I add a word there, sir? The word experience is rather difficult.
Well, I don't want to get into a semantic thing. I mean, I've got to use language. I mean, language is limited.
So, what is your question, sir?
Well, what I'm saying is, what I'm interested in is the fact that I have... You were mentioning about toothache. I have a problem here, and we never seem to be able to get to it because no one will get beyond the idea that it seems that there's a kind of... You're saying, what is it like to have... to be the world?
No, sir.
Or that you are the world, or you're not separate from it, or something of the sort.
No, not something. We have made it all very clear up to now. That...
But it's not.
Huh?
But it's not clear, that's the problem.
Sir, yesterday we were talking about how just before one could see the root of the separateness or the problem, that there had to be a sort of subsiding of the problem, of the bundle.
Sir, he's asking a question, the gentleman. He says, what you have been saying is not clear to me. So we have to clear it up with him. Right? What is not clear, sir?
You seem to be asking, what am I doing at this moment? What is my response at this moment? And yet I feel as though, I mean, if you have toothache, so if I may use that metaphor, if you have toothache yesterday and you haven't been to the dentist, you've still got toothache today. And I feel as though I've got the toothache, if you like. And you're asking me what I'm doing about it now. And I'm saying that I can't discuss that because you're talking about the first principles.
No, sir, look, what we have said so far is fairly simple and clear. We think we are separate, right?
But I don't.
Huh?
But I don't. I mean, for me, there are problems of privacy. You know, what happens if you are conditioned into having a private space, say mentally? I mean, how is one not to respond neurotically? I mean, implicit in what you're saying, if one is not an individual, is that one has no privacy, for example.
I don't catch your meaning, sir, sorry.
He's saying that there's a physical correspondence. He's saying, I think, that there's a physical correspondence to seeing that your consciousness is the same as the consciousness of mankind. That somehow has a physical correspondence in that you don't have a private space, or you don't have a private life, or he seems to have made a logical jump there.
Is that it?
Well, that's not only it. I mean, I think that the number of people who've actually done what you're saying is very few. I'm not saying that...
Don't bother about the few or the many, sir, but just have, what is the quality of your mind, after examining all this? That is, psychologically we're the rest of mankind, right? That's obvious, isn't it? What you suffer, people suffer similarly in India, in America, in Russia. What you go through, your sorrows, your pleasures, your anxieties, the rest of the world goes through that. You may be physically different, maybe taller, whiter, blacker, purple, whatever, brown. And so that is superficial. Basically, psychologically, we are the rest of mankind. Have you accepted that?
Well, yes, I accept that.
No, wait. Now, is that an idea or an actual living fact? Stick to that one thing, sir. Is it an actual living fact or just a concept which you have gathered from the rest of us?
Well, how is one to tell the difference?
Oh yes, that's fairly simple. Either it is an idea which you have accepted, or it's a living thing. Like breathing, like your whole being sees it is so.
But I don't know if the state I'm in is a living thing or not. I mean, I don't know, the relationship between what is in the mind.
I explained what the mind. All right, if I don't use the mind, is there seeing that fact with all your being?
But I can be consecrated to the thing, and it can still be in my mind. That's what I'm saying.
What's that?
I can be consecrated to the idea. Also the fact. My action can be an act of consecration and passion, if you like.
I don't quite follow.
Like someone can be devoted. You can be devoted, say, to the Nazis, or some of them were devoted to Nazism.
I know. At least you are still devoted to something.
Quite, that's what he's saying.
I know.
And it has an immense effect on one's life, but it's still an illusion. But that illusion is also a reality.
The illusion is also a reality.
How is it
We've been through that. We've been through that. I can accept an illusion and think that it is a reality.
But he's saying he doesn't know how to tell the difference between the two.
What? Between what? Between illusion
and a fact.
And the fact?
Yes.
Is that it, sir?
Yes.
Between illusion and fact. All right. Help me out, please.
It's not like
it
that
isn't
for
a
me.
battle between.
It's not like that for me. I say the realization of the world is me and I am the world. To me it was an idea. It's a fact. And I know that there will be a different action. What that action will be, I don't know.
No, just a minute, sir. He says, how do you distinguish? How do you know what is an illusion and what's a fact?
I'll tell you. For this
Tell him, sir.
Yes, I'll tell him. Things are not going to be the same again. My own urgency about my self-centered activity, about my business, and all the personal problems, they've fallen away. Because the world is one and I am the world.
You're not answering.
There is a different approach.
Yes, but how do you know that the different approach is the right approach, or a correct one, or an intelligent one, or a sensible one, or one that is not violent, or one that doesn't further violence or lead to more violence?
Because I am no longer further going to contribute to those problems, to the violence of the world.
But you are those problems.
Exactly, I see that I am that. And it was an idea that the world is me and I am the world. It is no longer an idea. And if it is no longer an idea with me, then I will not be acting from what I was acting from, which was self-centered activity. Now there'll be an action from something else.
Now he's asking, sir, if I understand him, how do you separate illusion and fact?
Sir, could we talk about the nature of that total perception that we talk about? Because
we haven't answered that question.
But that would answer it, because if we saw the nature of that and we saw the nature of illusion, we would see the difference.
So there's a difference between feeling and being. And
then that in feeling and being both may be illusion. How do you separate the two?
Well, is illusion created by thought only?
Yes. Illusion is created by thought, by desire, and so on.
If there were somehow a way to test it out, then you could tell, because a fact, I mean, if that microphone is actually there, I can touch it, but if it's only
an idea, you can't touch it.
Right.
But can you touch, as you can touch the microphone, the fact? That's what he wants to know, as far as I understood.
But you could test it. I mean, if one thought one saw that one was the world, and then when we saw that,
forget the world, forget me. And he's asking a question. How do you distinguish, discriminate, or find out which is illusion and which is a fact? Fact is something that is actually happening, right? Right? Right, sir? Yes? You are doubtful about it. An illusion, what I conceive or have an opinion of what is happening. I am suffering. That's a fact. And being a Christian, I say Jesus is the embodiment of suffering. I leave it to him. He'll save me. That is an illusion. The actual fact is I'm suffering. Right? Is that so? We don't have to go back to that. We can distinguish, separate the two, what is actually happening. I am unhappy. I am greedy. I am anxious. I am frightened. That is the actual fact. Right? And I can say that somebody will save me from this is an illusion. Right? Wait, just let's get it clear. Is this clear, sir?
Yeah.
Now, wait. From there, we move, which is the world outside is put together by me, by my parents, by generations past. Right? That's a fact.
Yeah, I think the problem it's easy to see that one has suffering and pain, grief and things oneself. It's not so easy.
That your neighbor is not suffering? That your wife doesn't go through hell?
I haven't got a wife. I don't suppose I'll ever.
No, sir, I have no wife, but I can see. Oh God, sir, you don't have to.
But it does look to me as though some people are happy and aren't miserable.
Is it a question of degree? Is part of our difficulty the fact that some of us feel as though we have lost some of our illusions, that we might have seen through religious dogma, we might have seen that physical violence is rather useless, not a good way of going about it? Do we feel it's a question of degree? And that the illusion is that possibly we might have lost something that they've still got?
To a Catholic who believes very strongly in all that business, to him it's a fact. But when you examine it closely, it is illusion. So, is this clear, sir? Now wait a minute. The world, which is violent, which is all that, is, I'm also like that. Right?
Yeah.
So, I am the world. That's a fact.
No, you don't.
No, all right.
No, you have. You said
Wait. The
there's
world.
disorder outside, there's disorder inside, but it doesn't mean that the disorder inside has anything to do with the disorder outside.
Sir, your neighbor is like you. Psychologically, you may have a different business, different job, you may be a carpenter, you may be a professor, you may be a doctor, but psychologically, inwardly, he's like you. He suffers, you suffer. He's anxious, you are also. We've been through all this. So, you are your neighbor.
So, it's one thing to say that you are like your neighbor because he suffers and you suffer. But is it the difficulty that you are saying you are your neighbor? Because obviously, in one perception, one is not someone else. We share certain things. We share one head and two arms and so forth, and we share things psychologically. But
saying
the statement that you are that, I think maybe that...
Psychologically, I am my neighbor. There is no...
I am like my neighbor. I share all kinds of things with my neighbor.
All right, I share the same thing. You see, I use different words, but the fact is that.
Well, I think that one may feel that it's true I share some things with my neighbor, but there may be some other things I don't share that may seem more important. You see that, for example, if one believes in individuality, one will feel it's true I suffer, but my individuality, which is more important, is not shared with my neighbor.
Of course, that just it. Huh? You see, I don't need...
So have you an objective in being here this morning?
Oh?
Have you an objective in being here this morning?
Have you an objective in being here this morning?
His objective?
No, have you an objective in being... Have you an objective in being here this morning? You.
Have I an objective
in being here this morning? That's what he says.
A motive.
Huh?
A motive.
A motive?
Yes.
Have you a motive being here?
I think so, yes.
Now why do you ask me?
Because you are not. And
I don't know. How do you know?
It seems to me from your reactions that...
So why do you bring that up when that poor gentleman says, I don't know what you are talking about?
Because the turmoil in this room is affecting me, and I think to some extent you're perpetrating it.
He says the turmoil in this room is affecting him, and you are in some way perpetuating that turmoil.
I'm answering his question. I'm not perpetuating the turmoil.
If you're not, sir, how can you ask a question?
He asked a question, sir. What are we all talking about?
But I mean, you are stirring a turmoil because you're trying to bring to our attention the nature of the turmoil. Seems to me a perfectly legitimate and desirable
yes, sir.
thing to do.
It's a very turmoil world.
But is it perhaps, sir, that we are not really giving our full attention, that we cannot observe?
In order to see a fact, I have to examine it carefully. Isn't that the difficulty? I mean, to accept something is one thing. That microphone is a microphone. It might be made out of chocolate. But in order to examine it carefully, I have to see that microphone couldn't possibly be made out of chocolate. We're very serious here.
So would you kindly explain to the gentleman the fact and the illusion, if you have understood it? And the world is me and I'm the world. That's a simple fact.
But in order to see it as a fact...
See, explain to him, not to me.
But I'm just saying, in order to see it as a fact, I have to go into it very carefully.
We have been, 3 mornings we've been into it, very, very carefully.
Yes, but each individual has to go into it very carefully.
I thought we were doing it, each one of us, as we went along, step by step.
Well, it seems that is the case.
Then what am I to do? Go all over again? I don't mind. Is that what is up?
Could one use some analogy? If one is sitting and looking at a movie, a film, you may have the idea, the illusion that you are seeing, for instance, a stream is water flowing, and you really think this is water flowing, and you can't tell if this water or is it not. But if you go out and put your fingers down into the stream, you will know this is water. Then you can tell the difference, but not while you are sitting there.
So it's only a fact that you tested in your life.
May I be summed up? As I feel it, the mind may hold on to an illusion despite facts which show it to be nothing factual, to be something simply of the mind. So an illusion can always be challenged by facts, but a fact can never be challenged by an illusion and be seen to be anything but of the mind. Facts exist. Illusions are something which the mind grasps, holds on to, in many cases as a denial of facts, as a retreat from facts. This is how it is for me. I don't know if this helps the discussion.
And returning to his point about distinguishing between illusion and a fact, if all illusion is created by thought, then it is clear that the only way to distinguish between illusion and fact is to go beyond thought to some other form of apprehension which does not involve thought.
Is that clear, sir, or is it still?
Sorry?
Is that clear so far? So he's saying, Professor Wilkins is saying that any movement of thought, anything that thought has created as an idea, as a concept, a conclusion, must be illusion. Only that which is happening without the interference of thought and the observation of it is fact.
So you don't mean that thought always creates illusion?
No, of course.
But all illusion is created
I mean,
by thought.
I took an example, sir, that I suffer as a Christian, and as a great believer, as I accept Jesus or Christ as the Savior, I leave all my suffering to Him. Somehow He will help me, save me from suffering. That is an illusion. The fact is I'm suffering. That's all I'm saying. Now, have we come to the point that we have found an answer to what is one to do in a world that's insane? Have we found the answer? What is one to do? This is the fourth morning, right? We've got 2 more mornings. And I'm asking myself, if we have understood the question, we have investigated the whole 3 mornings, and this is the 4th morning, and we're asking, have we found an answer to the question, what am I to do? What is the right action in this world? What am I to do? to find an answer to that, is individual action right action? Right, sir? Just a minute, I want to explain that. We have so far acted as individuals. Yes. And whatever we do or modify, somehow we say that is right action. Not all the things we do, but as an individual, we are trying to find what is right action. And the speaker says you can never do that, because the individual is a fragment of the whole. And when a fragment acts independently, whatever his actions be, they will be fragmented, incomplete. That's all we have said.
A man cannot do. We see that.
Wait, just as an individual, whatever action I do must be either destructive,
yes,
pleasurable, violent, and so on. It is a fragment that is acting.
Yes.
And therefore, it must create division, conflict, and so on. Yes. So I say to myself, that is not right action. As self-centered human being, that's not right action. Therefore, I say to myself, what is right action? Let me follow this a little bit. What is right action? I don't know. But I know this is wrong. Wrong, right. Please understand quickly. So I said, am I different from the rest of the world? Psychologically? Not peripheral differences, not color differences and so on, but basically at the root, am I different from the rest of mankind? I find I'm not, psychologically. So, then what place has individuality? You follow? Yes. If I have discarded individuality as being not capable of bringing about right action, then when I realize that I'm psychologically I'm the rest of mankind, then my individuality has disappeared. That's what I want to find out.
So isn't it the illusion?
Wait a little.
Isn't it the illusion of individuality?
Yes, sir, I said that. You said that's
so it's possible, isn't it?
I mean, is that so with you?
Yes.
Or am I just talking to myself?
No.
Well,
that is so.
Talking to yourself.
What?
I think you are talking to yourself there.
Speak to yourself, but please just realize it.
Am I talking to myself? He says I am. So, the individual action, right, which the world is doing, acting, each one acting for himself, right? His own security, his own pleasure, pursuing his own experiences, his own little family. You follow all that. Every human being is doing that. That's a fact. And that has produced chaos in the world.
Exactly.
Right? Division. And where there is division, there must be conflict. Right? Follow it, sir, follow it. So, any action as an individual I do is not productive. Is not productive of peace, of real security for mankind. Right? So I discard not as an idea but as a fact. I am not an individual.
I feel that this is where the difficulty is, that see, it doesn't follow logically from the fact that working as an individual has destructive results, it does not follow that I have the power to discard my individuality. You see, this is where the question is.
I have not the power of discarding
Individuality, as if I believe I am one.
No, because I perceive the truth that I am the part of the whole, integral part of the whole. I see that as a fact.
Well, that's
not as an idea.
That's the step, you see, to see as a fact that I am not an individual.
What?
To see it as a fact that I am really not an individual.
I can see how you can identify, but I can't see how you can see it as a fact.
It's an illusion to see that you are an individual. That is what you are saying. And if you
Yes,
see that
that's
illusion,
what I'm
that's the
saying.
fact.
I'm saying it's an illusion to identify with my mind that I am the world, because that leads to all sorts of torturous things and stays in mental hospital and God knows what, as a result of making a mistake. The thing is that
Sir,
I don't want to make a mistake.
look at it the other way. You are an individual, aren't you? You think you are an individual, and you are acting as an individual, right? Each human being is acting separately, right?
Well, my personal situation is that I find that I can't act as an individual because there's so much violence in the world, it's not possible to function hardly.
But the work, you're doing it, sir.
Well, not effectively.
Huh?
Not effectively.
This is incredible.
Yes, I see that.
But you have a sense of your own individuality.
Well, sometimes, yes.
So isn't there some confusion, which maybe we could sort out? That I think we can all see, you're talking of the illusion of being an individual. I think we've followed that.
The word individual means indivisible, obviously. But we are divided. We are broken up. We are contradictory in ourselves. We are not individuals in the ordinary dictionary meaning. We think we are individuals. And I'm saying that the very thinking that you are an individual, acting separately, etc., is an illusion. Exactly. I know this is very difficult to realize because we are so stuck in this individuality.
Isn't one of the blocks the sort of everyday sort of common sense, that feeling that we have separate bodies? That, I mean, what you're saying is, surely you're not saying that if this illusion goes and we no longer hold...
So that is an illusion. Therefore it has no reality.
Yes.
No, so I discard it personally. I said nonsense.
But there is still a response of one human being.
Wait, sir, I don't... You're also... You want to step far ahead. First, sorry.
The other day, Professor Wilkins said that we don't want to disappear.
That's right.
And I think that's the point.
We like the idea of individuality, which is an illusion, but I hold on to it. It has part of my blood. I've accepted for generations. The world around me says you are an individual. You must be ambitious. You must fulfill. You are separate.
Because it's like dying to something so important.
Yes, sir, that's why
I'm dying.
I'm saying that. It has become part of our whole structure of thinking, part of our nature to say, I am an individual. And somebody comes around and says, look, you are an illusion. I say, nonsense. So he says that just before you call it nonsense, examine it. Look at it. But I'm unwilling to look.
Why, sir?
Therefore, there is no communication.
I'm trying to look.
Wait. Therefore, you are willing, you as a human, as another person, willing to listen to. You are willing to listen. Therefore, we're beginning to establish a communication between you and me. And the speaker, I say to you, since individual action throughout the world has produced such chaos in the world, right? That's obvious. Is there an action which is not individualistic? That's all.
Sorry, which is not individually what?
Huh?
Individualistic.
Is there an action which is not born out of the idea of an individual?
Well, obviously.
Huh?
Oh, obviously there is.
Obviously no.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there are questions implicit in that. I mean, are you suggesting that there's some kind of intelligence which means that one is in touch with,
we're going to find out,
receptive with other people, and therefore not selfish or self-centered?
I can only find out if I'm not living in illusions. If I'm living in illusion, any amount of you're telling me that there's something greater or wider, I reject, because my illusion is stronger than the fact. So have you gone into this sufficiently and say, yes, I see for myself very clearly that the individual is an illusion. My God, to accept that, sir. When all the world around you is saying you are an individual, that means you are going against the current of the world. And nobody wants to listen, stand against the current. Right? So if you want to find out what is right action, I say the individual illusion must come to an end. That's the first thing, because you are the world.
I think that it's not merely the pressure of outside circumstances, but also there seems to be a direct feeling of the reality that you are an individual, that it seems that you, as it were, experience this individuality. It's not really that other people tell you about it.
Yes.
And then therefore, how will you see that this experience is an illusion?
How do you convince me or show me that I am not an individual? How will you show me? How will you help me? When I am, all my education, all my conditioning is, I am an individual. And I won't let that go.
If I can see that this feeling of being an individual is coming from a thought, then then it will begin to loosen, right?
Yes,
but
sir,
if I don't see it coming from a thought, I don't know.
I agree logically to everything that you're saying. But inwardly, this thing is so strong that I won't let go.
But I'm also convinced that it's real, you see. That's one reason I don't want to let go.
That's our majority of the people here, that's our position. I've lived 40, 50, 80 or 20 years, and individual, my pleasure, my fears, my possession, my etc. is so embedded in me that I refuse to listen to you. Or I listen to you and say, please, I don't understand what you're talking about.
I suppose one might say that something which is real is essentially non-contradictory and makes sense. And if one can draw people's attention to the fact that regarding oneself as an individual is filled with contradictions.
Yes, sir, we've said that umpteen times. But nobody wants to listen to it because the individual is so tremendously important. You see the painters, Picasso is an individual, you see, the rest of it, I don't have to. So my question then is, if one has gone so far, say, what am I to do is there an action which is not born of out of the idea or the illusion that I'm an individual? That's really the question, if you want to face it.
I mean, what you said about people in this room working together and turning these questions over of communal inquiry,
yes,
then presumably this is not or goes beyond the action of the individual.
Yes, sir. You see, we are not all together in this, are we? We're not thinking together, are we, about this?
As you pointed out, no action, real action that will operate directly is possible while we retain the sense of separateness. It's self-defeating in this way. So there is, as far as we are concerned, there is a question. Is there an action that can take place? Implicit in this is the possibility of an action that can take place when the sense of separateness is not operating here. Now, this process of inquiry has been into the nature of what we regard as separateness.
So we've come to the crossroad. Either you accept individuality and go on, or you say, let us look in another direction.
Yes.
And to look in another direction, you must kind of put that aside for the time being.
I see that, yes.
All right. Are we at that point together?
Yes.
Together. I may be and you may be awesome, but together are we at that point?
So can I ask, is there any factuality at all to individual differences? Obviously they're different bodies and so on. I mean, there might be some confusion there about those obvious differences.
Sir, you see, you go back to something, sir. Forgive me. I said we've come to a crossroad. Either you see that individuality brings about conflict, all that, and therefore you say, look, I turn my back on it and let's look in another direction. That's all I'm asking. Or we are looking in another direction. If we are, then as I'm saying, we have to go into the whole question of our consciousness, our mind, which is the world is me and all that. So has my consciousness lost its sense of separateness? Because separateness brings conflict, inevitably. Britain, France, Germany, you follow, sir? The Arab, the Jew, and all that, the Hindus, is invariably bringing conflict.
Every peace conference is separate. My country against your country.
I know.
But they will not look in another direction.
The politicians won't, general public won't, but we are here to find out if we can look in another direction.
Sure.
So, when we look in another direction, it means, have I really realized that I am the world? That comes to the point. Am I really in contact with that absolute fact? If I am, then what is the quality of my mind? From which action invariably comes. I don't know if I'm...
Yes.
If I'm not clear, if there is not clarity in my mind, all my action will be unclear. Right? So, I'm asking myself, and therefore asking you, if I may, what is the quality of your mind when you see that individuality brings conflict? All that, Therefore, it's no longer holding on to that, and realizes it's part or integral part of the whole of mankind. So, from that realization of that fact, what is taking place in the mind? Yes, that's my question.
Krishnati, the question is, what happens when I'm really in contact with the fact that I am the Word and the Word is I? And your question is that what happens when it is a fact, and if it is a fact, surely something will happen that is also...
We're going to find out, sir. We're going to find out. You see, you're also quick in this. You want to find out what happens. And that's why I'm asking, what, after talking for 4 days, what has happened to your mind?
Krishnamurti, it seems that fear seems to dissolve instantly at those moments.
If there is no fear, wait, then what is the nature of your mind?
It's much more peaceful.
Then go into a little more slowly.
Less problems, certainly, because no separation.
Surely there's something else going on. You're not examining it a little more closely. That is, individuality has lost its meaning to me personally. And I realize that I am part of this whole of mankind. I realize it means something tremendous, not just words. Something enormous has taken place. And have I lost the memory, please listen to it, the memory of individuality? I don't know if No, don't, please, sir, this is very, very serious, and don't let's play around with this. Have I lost the memory of my individuality with its experiences, with its sorrows, with its etc., etc., etc.?
What do you mean by losing the memory of it?
Oh my God.
The past is gone.
Memory, remembrance of my sorrow.
Yeah.
You mean that it is no longer active?
No, no remembrance.
Finished.
How can you have no remembrance?
I'm going to show you. Go slowly, Maria. First find out what I'm saying first, before you say. That is, I have collected during my 80 years of life, 84 years of my life, as an individual, lots of memories, right? Lots of experiences. The memory of sorrow, the memory of happiness, the memory as an individual. It is there in my consciousness. Now, when there is the realization of the truth, I'm using the word truth in its right sense, absolute truth, that individuality is an illusion. With that realization, is there a loss of all the memories which I have collected during the 80 years?
Sir, is it...
Just go slowly, sir. I'm maybe crazy in saying this.
Well, is it that there is a new mind that does not have that memory?
Scott, have you listened to what I have said?
Yes, sir.
Which is, have you, who have understood or seen the truth that you are an individual and therefore no longer, are you still carrying the memories, the structure, the nature of your remembrance, your past, your all that in your mind? Yes, sir, this is a real question, don't
Absolutely. I may be, but it doesn't touch me anymore.
No. That is again, maybe it doesn't touch me. What do you mean it doesn't touch me?
I mean the memory.
Me is part of that.
Yeah. The memory may be there. You can't lose all your memory. But it doesn't affect me, ça ne me touche plus.
No, sir. You see how
wiped out.
How we are translating it immediately? That is, I have memories of my sorrow, but it no longer interferes with my action. Right? Is that so?
That's how I see it. Very wrong.
I have memory of being hurt as an individual.
But it's not me.
Wait, listen to say memory of it. Remembrance of it. It's in my brain, in the cells. And when I say individuality is nonsense, have I lost the memory of the hurt?
How can you lose the memory that's in the brain cells? It may not be operating, it may not...
No,
I say... wiped out like amnesia?
Well, I think that if there's an illusion, you see, what you remember is an illusion, and when the illusion is dispelled, the memory must go. You see that we can't remember an illusion when you see it's an illusion, because it's nothing.
Something is in the brain cell. Is that an illusion or an actual...
what has been in the brain cell has been changed from illusion to non-illusion. That is, the brain cell itself must have changed. It's like waking up from a dream. You are not, the thing is dispelled. You see that.
But you may remember the dream.
And that, if you do, then you're not free of the dream. You see that if you remember the experience of pain in the illusion, then it's still the illusion.
It is of the past, not the present. The present has nothing to do with memory, remembering.
But the imprint on the brain cells of certain experiences.
Well,
nothing
to do. What was imprinted was an illusion, and when the illusion is dispelled, the imprint must go.
Why?
Otherwise, you still have the illusion.
Maria, may I say something? Have you heard my question?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes.
Have you investigated the question?
Yes, sir.
Which are you reacting to the question? Wait, slowly, go slow. Have you investigated the question which I've put? Or are you reacting to the question and asking out of that reaction? But go slowly, Maria, find out first. Piano. I put the question to myself, perhaps you'll see. As an individual, which is an illusion at the moment, as an individual, I remember certain incidents which have caused pain. The remembrance of it, the memory of it, the room in which the thing happened which gave pain, and all the circumstances involved in that incident. And that has, as an individual, it is there, circulating, right? And followed up to now? Have you followed it up to now?
Yeah.
And I said, and if I drop my individuality as an illusion, will the memory still remain? I'm asking a question.
When you use the word circulate, there are memories that are factually in the brain.
I'm going to find out, Maria. You're all too quick in your answers. I remember where it happened, the house. I can go back to the house and see it happen there. I lived in Ohio for a 10-year forward time. I can see the whole thing. But the memory of pain, that's what I'm talking about. The memory of pain. No, I won't listen to, I won't answer. the memory of the pain has gone. Well, have you listened to what I've said?
Yes, carefully, sir. May I ask a question? The memory of the pain, you say, is gone, but you've just referred to the fact that there was pain at a certain point. Therefore,
that's only a description. Please, Maria, careful. That's why you're...
There's some record in the brain.
You see what it is?
No,
you're...
but Krishnamurti, I think some of us are trying to see, one is to relive the pain is active, the pain is emotive, the pain has a certain action. The other is a simple factual memory that there was once a pain. It isn't doing anything or affecting one today.
The hurt has gone.
No, sir, be careful. This is very, very serious.
Is the pain different from the memory?
Oh, Lordy.
So,
don't, sir. This is...
Sir, could you use the word imprint when talking about pain?
What?
Could one use the word imprint?
Imprint. Answer, Mrs. Zimbali, sir.
Well, it's possible, I think, that if this is so, then one would remember the circumstances and perhaps remember the figures in a sense perhaps as if they were in a play, something like that. But there would be no imprint inside.
At least to me there is a distinction between an active memory, the one that is affecting my reactions, my life, my whatever I am. The other is just something that happened, has no meaning for me anymore, but I can remember it as a fact. Now I'm trying to find out, when you say, be without memory.
Now wait a minute, could you put it this way, just, you're attached to somebody.
Yes.
I'm not saying this personally. You're attached to somebody. And you see the whole business of attachment, what is involved, the whole structure, nature of it, the consequences of it. And you end it. Right?
Yes.
Then what happens? Wait, go slowly. What happens? The person is there, the furniture is there, or whatever you are attached to. What has happened?
There is no longer any attachment.
That's all. What has taken place in the mind which is no longer attached to?
I don't understand.
Sir, are you saying that there is a new mind which is different than forgetting?
No, I don't want you to suggest a new mind. I just want to see if you have been attached to something, to a belief, to a person, to a piece of furniture, and you are no longer attached completely. What has happened?
Sort of sense of falling away.
She began.
Well, this is what I think is
what has happened?
For example, because in the instance that you raised, the attachment is no longer there. There is no...
so what has happened? You're not answering...
There has been a change.
Which means what? Then have you lost the memory? We're quiet, please listen. Have you lost the memory of having been attached? I'm not going to, please, I'm going to prevent you from answering. Have you lost the memory, all the consequence of all that, when you drop completely attachment? Go ahead.
I think this use of the word memory is where...
Or use some other word. Contact.
Could you say it's like a wound healing without a scar?
I'm using the word memory purposely because that is what is keeping me attached.
But if it's wiped out, that's the finish.
This is important because if one can if one has done this, what takes place? That's all I'm asking you.
Sorry, could you just go back a couple of steps to about the individuality and just recap what you were saying, because I've lost the thread of the argument.
Oh my Lord.
So aren't you saying that if there's an actual recording of an event, you remember it, you have a picture of the event?
No, sir, I'm asking something else.
The emotional content.
I have recorded when I'm attached.
There's an emotional.
We just follow it, sir, please. 2 minutes. Forgive me, I'm not suppressing anybody from asking questions. When I was attached, the whole mechanism was, the mechanics of registration was taking place, right? Now, when I am not attached, absolutely, the mechanism of registration has stopped. If it has not, its attachment is still going on in a different form.
So can I make something clear? Emotional. We're talking about emotional registration. We're not talking about recording in the same way that a camera.
No, sir, of course not.
Yes,
Memory.
it's important.
All the recording is memory.
Yes, we're talking about emotional.
No, not only recording. I record. You said something, and my mind records.
Yes, but I remember the fact that the person was standing there. I mean, obviously.
Yes, sir. Have I? When the mind is free from that attachment, has the recording has been wiped out? That's my point.
The recording of what?
What?
Of what? What recording?
All the memories, all the incidents.
Well, as this gentleman just said, you remember, say it's a person, you remember the place, the person, the circumstances, but you're no longer attached. You're not, none of that is operating in you.
But I'm not attached to you.
No.
Just a minute. I'm being personal, I'm sorry. I'm not attached to anybody. Forgive me, I'm not attached to you. I know you. You're there. You do all kinds of things. The mechanism of the whole process of attachment has completely come to an end.
Yes.
But you are there.
That's right. But what I'm talking, well, then I think probably, then I do understand. The attachment is not going on. But if you say, is there a memory of attachment in the past? It's not going on, it's not active, it's not in one or in me.
It is not there.
But once it was, and I remember the fact that
Oh, for God's sake, somebody explain it for something.
It was no me that can be now.
It seems as if a kind of burden.
It's gone. There's no burden, there's no attachment, none of that.
I think
There is no memory, I'm telling you.
Sir, is that the same thing?
That it's still active.
There is no memory.
Is it the same thing as forgetting? That has
No.
memory?
No, not at all.
Right. Then.
So why is it so difficult to understand that?
What?
Why it is so difficult to understand this?
No, sir, don't say this. This is one of the most difficult. You don't know if you say what is the difficulty. It's so simple. It's not.
I think it's a semantic one in this case. It is with me. You say the memory is different from forgetting.
What?
Is it different from forgetting? Scott asked.
What?
Having no memory, is that different from forgetting?
No.
It's not.
Forgetting is something else, and having no memory is something else.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Then,
I think that's good.
but you use the word in a way that
Isn't it as simple as rather saying, my son dies, I wipe it all out, I don't even remember there was a son, which is sheer
No,
nonsense.
sir, it is not like, don't, I do.
Isn't it like, I remember that yesterday you called me stupid, but I don't remember
I didn't
the hurt.
call you stupid.
No, somebody did. somebody called me stupid yesterday, but I don't remember the feeling that arises of hurt anymore. It's gone.
Good.
That's what you're saying.
Something like that.
But he remembers that he was hurt.
What's
but
that?
he remembers that he was hurt, but he can't remember the hurt itself.
But the pain doesn't.
Is that
The memory has been called, the words. The person said these words, "You are stupid." But the feeling that arose is gone. Cannot be recalled.
So you can
there is no real memory of the feeling you had.
So the emotional contents.
That's it.
That's right, sir. That's, could we take another example? Suppose I have been hurt. The memory of that hurt, the feeling of that hurt is there. Now, if I wipe out that hurt completely, therefore, in that wiping away, cleansing, there is no feeling of ever being hurt. I know this is difficult for people. There is no feeling ever of being hurt.
I think the difficulty is that people are so used to remembering factual things that to the idea that you cannot recollect the actual hurting, the nature of the hurt.
You cannot
very
recollect,
difficult.
if you want to put it. You cannot remember, recollect what was the state of the mind or feeling when it was hurt. Yes, that explains somewhat.
Yes.
No, now come back. As an individual, I remember certain incidents, which of course pain or pleasure what it was. And with the cessation of the individual as an illusion, absolutely, then what is the quality of my mind, the mind, which has remembered, recollected? I say it is God. That's all. Now, what is my action? What am I to do in this world? I've lost my individuality. I mean it. I'm talking about myself. I've lost my individuality. I'm no longer separate, fighting for myself, struggling, confident all that. Then what is the nature of my mind, which sees that I am part of the whole? The realization that I am the entire mankind.
One feels a total responsibility.
Huh?
One feels a total responsibility.
Responsibility. One may not. Madam, do you feel that? Or is it just a lot of words?
No, I feel that.
And how do you act from that responsibility?
I don't know.
So I'm asking you, what is action?
An action of great care.
Huh?
An action of great care, great attention.
Sir, I think that any attempt to answer your question is rather speculative on our part.
What?
I think that our attempt to answer that question is rather speculative on our part.
Yes. So what will you do? How will you meet this question? How will you meet this challenge? The challenge is, what are you to do in this world? If you're lost, if you have put away your ugly little individuality, which means nothing.
At this moment, we have no basis from which to act that is of the same order from which we've acted in the past.
Sir, you can only answer my question. Have you really put aside your individuality? Or is it just say, well, it's convenient today in this meeting, but the rest of the time I'll carry on?
You are stopping us from answering. Because you are stopping us from answering. Because how can I say I'm sure that I really
I'm asking.
aside
I'm just asking. I'm
Sorry.
not asking to be sure.
I think that the only thing that can be after your question is silence.
No, sir. After
Well, I mean
4
by
days,
silence, not answering.
after 4 days, you are just silent at the end of it?
Exactly. I am. Completely.
I'm not, I'm very sure. Because if we are silent, nothing will change the world. And we can sit here and go out and nothing is changed. But what I feel, if I may, is that if you have that big feeling in yourself that you are not separate from other people, that you really want to share with other people, and really want to listen to other people.
Oh no! No share. You see, you've gone off to living with other people, sharing.
Or maybe it's the wrong word.
Could one say that before I was acting for my individual? Then after this change occurred, my individual being the whole, I act for the whole.
What is the action that's born out of that?
Love?
Or is it perhaps the realization, sir, that we actually cannot do anything ourselves from a me?
How can we say any of this? How can we say it if it hasn't happened? We can't say anything. I mean this affectionately, but I don't think we can say anything.
You see, what was the moment is the happening, and each moment new, free from the past, because there is no illusion of memory. There are no more illusions. There is only the reality of the moment, and that is the responsive action, the thing from which you cannot divorce yourself. So there has to be some response. It is the moment, and each moment, that is the moment. At least this is how I feel now.
You know, it's also new that I feel so hesitant in making any statement at all.
Could
Christianity asks us a question like this. I'm tentatively looking to see, is this true or not?
Is my individuality dead? It cannot be resurrected. It cannot be called back. It's dead. Then, what's my action? I have no, the mind is not recollecting, remembering the individual. Feeling separate. Therefore, what is its action when it is not, when it is dead to separateness?
Well, somebody said love, and you said no, and I don't understand, because surely it is an act
I
of
said
love.
no, because it comes out, love is one of the easiest words that we all use.
All right, but he's right.
He's perfectly right. But I just wondered if it is a reality or just a word.
If you have lost one's individual sense of separateness, one is a whole being. But am I whole when I say this?
You understand, sir? If you feel that you are the rest of mankind, what? You understand that's a tremendous realization.
Participation.
There's a tremendous different feeling.
From that there is action. Perhaps we'll go into it tomorrow from that point, if we may. It's now 1 o'clock. Sorry.